This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.
Great. Thank you.
Hello and welcome everyone to our 157th session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Sabrina Osso from Osso Safe. Sabrina is founder and CEO of Osso Safe, and Sabrina always says it so well: feel safe where you live, learn, work and play. She's a TEDx speaker, author and real estate agent on creating and maintaining respect in homes, workplaces and schools for children. Sabrina, thank you so much for being on the show again. I really appreciate your mission and also your work you are doing. And for the ones who haven't watched the other episode, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so much for having us again, Michael. This is so great. When you reached out to us, it was such a pleasant surprise. We were here a couple of years ago, like you mentioned before we interviewed. Yes, as you said, I'm Sabrina Osso from Osso Safe. Feel safe where you live, learn, work, and play. I am a TEDx speaker, real estate agent, children's book author on creating and maintaining respect in homes, workplaces, and schools, but the focus is in homes, in all types of homes. And we do this by combining education and technology. So that is what we are doing for the real estate market, the real estate industry in general.
Give us, you are very good and explain it always. Give us an overview. What is the entire concept originating from? Where did everything start?
Yes, I have been in and out of therapy for quite some time, and I'm comfortable to say that I am a survivor of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis. My mother would beat me, so I know how difficult it is to live in that type of environment. It's like living in a war zone, you know, and it's very traumatic, it's like you're living with a terrorist. So, and I don't say this to invite pity or to make the interview low, or it's to explain to your audience that we get it, we get it if you live in that type of environment, and also to provide more than hope. We are providing bona fide solutions through our products and services. So I thought long and hard, what is it that would have helped me growing up in that type of environment? Because I lived in a two-family. I'm Italian. My parents were born and raised in Italy. I am of a first generation Italian, so and it doesn't matter the nationality, it doesn't matter the nationality. You could be rich, you could be poor, you could be middle class, you could be Italian, Portuguese, Arabic, of Arabic origin, you could be European, Russian. Respect needs to be the single most important component in your everyday life. So we are making respect a required standard in all homes. So Osso Safe was born out of this great need to make respect a required standard. I am a dancer, but I started dancing late. So Osso Safe was born out of a one-woman show that I wrote, choreographed, and performed. The name of the show is called Home Sweet Home ? And I hope to revive it one day. But I wrote it, choreographed, performed it. I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. The show ends really strong, really empowering. And Michael, I did a lot of research for the show, and I could not believe the statistics that I was finding. So I said to myself, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people. So that's how Osso Safe was born. And our core product is the Osso Safe certification for properties. So what does that mean? Just to give an overview, I think that's the original question. We want this to propagate over all types of homes, whether you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single family home, a multi-family dwelling, a two-family home, a villa, a mansion, a mobile home, a senior community, a dormitory, it doesn't matter. We are saying, and our focus right now still is the landlord tenant portion of the industry, of the real estate industry, because that's the path of least resistance. We are saying to landlords, to property owners, property managers, hire us. We'll get your property Osso Safe certified. What does that mean? They pay roughly $125 per unit, American dollars. And it doesn't matter how many people are in the unit. So you could be a single person or a family of 4, 5, 6. It's the same price, basically. So get your property Osso Safe certified. We are offering the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. It consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to the property. So the policy, just to give a brief overview of each component, the policy basically states, I, as a landlord, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my tenant, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises. And we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. The second component is the seminar, the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home Seminar. And everybody gets educated, Michael, both adults and children alike, on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship, what are the warning signs of a bad relationship. So that way everybody gets educated. The app right now is still being modified. It's being improved upon, but this app will detect violent-like movements and captures them in real time, issuing alerts to the landlord. So let's say you have 10 units, you get an alert. Oh, I just saw you beat the crap out of her in my unit 2, and you just beat the crap out of him in my unit 10. This is grounds for eviction. You knew that this was going to happen. You are held to a higher regard, a higher standard in an Osso Safe certified property. We can't allow this. We have to protect everybody else in the building, in the complex. So that's the app, which is being improved upon. And then the fourth and final component are therapists are assigned to the property. So we have therapists that are Osso Safe certified themselves, where it is required in an Osso Safe certified property, check in with your therapist once a month, whether it be email, by text, by phone. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Once a month, this is required. Well, Mr. and Miss Therapist, just to give an example, our kid came home with bad grades. We really don't know how to handle this. We're not going to verbally disparage our kid. We're not going to punish him or her, but we don't know how to handle this. Help us through this. So all of these components working together makes for an Osso Safe certified property. This is preventative versus waiting for an episode of violence to occur. Then bad news travels fast. And then before you know it, your respectful tenants leave, and then you're stuck with the abusive family. We flip all of that. We're saying, well, why should the victim leave? It's the abuser that has to leave. Why should the respectful tenants leave? It's the abuser that has to leave. And I want to say a very important component of the Osso Safe certification for properties is that children have a say on who they want to live with. Let's say mom and dad are abusive, they're getting abused verbally, physically, sexually. We are giving voice and choice to children. This is very important. We don't wait until they are 18 years of age for them to have agency over their lives. Quite frankly, it's too late, Michael. They will resort to drugs, alcohol, gang-related activity, self-harm. They will get involved with the wrong people, the wrong friendships, and before you know it, they can commit suicide. Why? When you can nip it in the bud when they are teeny tiny, children know who make them feel safe. So we are giving them voice and choice. And in the seminar, we bring everybody together, adults and children, then we separate them during the seminar to say, look, kids, you can speak out. If mom and dad is abusive, your parents are abusive, your stepmother, stepfather, who is it that you feel safe with? Maybe it's an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend. And our children's book, I don't think I had the book when we interviewed prior. I don't
Maybe
remember
not.
now, but the book is a staple in all Osso Safe certified properties. We use the book as a tool to lay the groundwork for respect. In the book, we explain the difference between respect and disrespect, abuse and non-abuse. And we say in the book, know that for the moment, which means right now, you are safe. And we introduce the Osso Safe Kids Cheer, and it goes like this: I want to live where I am Osso Safe, and I am Osso Safe with, and they get to fill in the blank. Is it an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend? We plant that seed and we realize they can lie, right? Children can lie because they're scared. Yeah, no, 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 I'm safe with mommy and daddy. But we know sooner than later, abusive parents, they can only keep their poker face on for so long. Sooner than later, their abusive true colors come out, and we say, look, we'll get you to that person, that aunt, uncle, grandparent, close family friend. So with the education, the policy gets signed, the therapists are assigned, our logo gets placed outside of the property so that way any vehicle, pedestrian, traffic, they realize, oh, wow, I would rather raise my kid in an Osso Safe certified property versus one that isn't. I know that I'll be safe, my kids will be safe. They have systems and mechanisms in place in case violence happens, if and when violence occurs. So this is what we are introducing and marketing into the real estate industry. And this is, we are spearheading this with our Osso Safe certification for properties.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much. I have the first question I'm having is the challenge of creating awareness to the children on what love is, family love, how the role models basically might traumatize an entire generation, entire child, and then drag it to next generations. Meaning, if I, as Michael, grow up and I see that my mother abuses my father, vice versa, whatever there is, or abuses me, how do I know that this is not normal until I am basically being rewired from an external source such as school or a therapist? How do you think, or how do you manage to overcome and to create this recalibration towards each individual child?
Yes, in one word, it's repetition. And this is an excellent question. And this is exactly what we do in the seminar when we separate the kids from the adults during the seminar. And then we bring everybody together at the end of the seminar. But children, we explain to them, and the book is like a catalyst to lay that groundwork, lay the seeds. Like, look, if mommy or daddy is are hitting each other, they're pulling each other's hair, they're smacking one another, um, they are saying horrible things to one another, or you're getting abused, you're maybe mommy and daddy is attacking you on your bathing suit parts. This is not okay. This is not normal. You deserve respect. You deserve to not be hurt. You deserve to not live in fear. You deserve to not be dominated, controlled. Um, so we are planting those seeds. And even if there is resistance, Michael, in the child, like, no, no, well, this is how it's normal in my house. It's about repetition. And we give the child, we don't pressure them, we don't say, look, you have to speak out now. No, in fact, I say in the book, if you're not ready to say, that's okay. When you're ready, you'll say who makes you feel safe. But if you're not ready, that's okay. And that applies to all ages, whether they are teeny tiny or through high school, 18 years of age. Um, and it's about the repetition and that kids, we teach them that good needs to be normal, safety needs to be normal, respect needs to be normal. So it's about the repetition of having that the bad out and good in concept. I hope I answered the question.
You absolutely did. And I think on a connotation there, what you mentioned is training the children to assert their boundaries along their self-respect and saying and being able to articulate those boundaries and say no as early on in order not to get traumatized later on and then basically have direct repercussions later on to have healthy relationships, romantic relationships, and also work relationships, to just not being treated as a doormat or in a way which you just don't want just because of lack of agency, I guess. Um, you should actually be like, state funded with the entire mission. I think this is amazing because I guess you are as aware as many other people also that the society is built on healthy family structures, and only with healthy family structures you can also create generational wealth, in my opinion, because then you have a strong foundation and can be more productive and can be more healthy. Let me ask you
Yes.
one thing regarding the also entire package. Now you talk, let's say, to a proper property management company, and I think this is for you also important to communicate that what's in it for the suite in the suite home package for the property management company, and why should they also have a call with you and say like, listen, this is what you get, and this is also how you can differentiate yourself from other non-also certified yeah, properties.
Yes, yes, excellent points. I just want to speak to the state-funded, what you said before, and the healthy family structures. I know for a fact, unfortunately, personal and professional experience, and with state is like it comes along with it's side by side with courts, and the courts here are horrible. Um, I mean, they perpetuate, magnify, and solidify the verbal, physical, and sexual abuse of children. You would think that courts, laws, judges, child protective service agencies, they they would help and lessen the situation. I am here to tell you they make horrible matters even worse. And like I said, I want to repeat that I have personal and professional experience to the extent that uh, pornography, BDSM, and that stands for bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism, and sex trafficking. it is practically strengthened here in the States with how the courts treat it. Um, so we in fact don't want to be state funded because then we are enveloped in that whole mess. So we are not a charity, we're not a nonprofit, and it's just horrible, Michael, horrible. I could do another show just on that. So we want to say that the court, with our products and services, you won't need the courts, you won't need the judges, you won't need, other than initial police intervention in case the abuser refuses to leave. But we have it on paper. Look, this is what you signed up for in an Osso Safe certified property. There's no surprise. We're not forcing you to live here. You want to live elsewhere where it's not Osso Safe certified? That's your business. But the intent at Osso Safe is to get every single property Osso Safe certified. So as an abuser, you either change your ways or become homeless. You belong nowhere as far as we're concerned. Because, like you said, how can you build healthy family structures? How can you live your best life? How can you live in a state of, I know my purpose in life. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a real estate agent. I want to be a dancer, an artist. You can't if you are distracted by abuse, by violence, constant being in a war zone. It's impossible to have those healthy family structures. So we are saying at Osso Safe, you either change your ways or you belong nowhere, terrorizing your family. And the people that suffer the most, Michael, are children. I should know. I was one of them. So, and why? Why? For what? For absolutely no reason. You can nip it in the bud, get your property also safe certified. Everybody will be better off, and this is better for business. So I'm tying it in with the property management company and what's in it for them, which is an excellent question. We know at Osso Safe that we don't even like to call it domestic violence. We prefer to say home violence, but even flipping that to stay on the positive, the lack of respect in homes, let's call it that, disrespect, like a constant state of disrespect. Um, it's inexcusable, unacceptable. So the property manager, if they and we get this, like, well, we don't want to be involved, we don't want to rock any boats, ruffle any feathers, and we say to them, look, Mr. or Miss landlord or property manager, the feathers are already ruffled and the boats are already rocked. You are in it by default. You're involved by default. You have people come into your building, in your home, or your two family, whatever it is. You have 500 units, 20 units, it doesn't matter. You're involved. So it is in your best interest to get your property also safe certified, because in case violence happens, well, you're already ahead of the game. This is maintenance now. Instead of, it's kind of like taking care of your teeth. Why wait until you have gum disease and you have where it's almost beyond repair, when you could have had us in the building, and we'll take care of the uncomfortable conversations. We take care of the awkwardness. We're very comfortable talking about this very taboo subject, but we frame it in a way that is positive. Let's talk about respect. Forget about violence. Even though it is violence, the we're preventing violence, diminishing violence. The key ingredient, let's talk about respect, practicing respect, non-abuse, non-disrespect. So we go over warning signs. We go over what constitutes a good relationship. So if this is new to you, then this is a much better way to live. And if this is something that you're already doing, well, this is just going to strengthen that whole good, healthy, as you said, family structure. So for property managers, we will deal with the uncomfortable conversations. We're used to that, but we frame it in a way, we make it interactive. And this is better for business because we mitigate liability, we maintain property reputation, and your tenants will feel safe. So, and also, we are speaking to mortgage companies and insurance companies and saying, partner with us. Let's make this an incentive for property managers to say, look, if you get your property Osso Safe certified, your insurance rates will go down and your property values will go up because this is good business. You are actually taking extra steps to to encourage respect, practice respect, maintain respect. Well, you should be rewarded for this, landlord, property owner, property manager. So that way there's money. And it's fine that money is behind all of this because the more money we make, the more people we can help, you know, and the more people can live their best lives versus living a life of hell. Quite frankly, you should live, like you said, I like how you put it, healthy family structures that is generational, instead of the reverse. I hope I answered the question as far as incentives and what's in it for them.
Absolutely, you did. Perfect. I'm still curious to understand what you said before regarding strengthening the situation for the abusers and also regarding the BDSM element in the legal system. What do you mean?
Yes, unfortunately, at least here in the States, but I have family in Italy, so and I speak to them quite often, and it's kind of actually no, actually I'm wrong. It's better there than it is here in the States, but there is the laws, the courts, the judges, child protective service agencies, they will side with the abusive parent. They will defend them. They will do everything in their power to make sure that abused child stays with the abusive parent because their whole philosophy is let's not break up the family, let's not break up the family, let's not break up the family. But if there is an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend that's willing to take them in, that is willing to provide for them, and they don't even want any money in return, they just want to save that abused child from further abuse, I can tell you, Michael, the laws, the courts, the judges, child protective service agencies, and to a certain extent, even the lawyers, they will fight you tooth and nail, nail and tooth to say, look, you're not going to get this kid. You're not going to get this kid, even though you are willing and capable. Here, the courts, and I would say this is across the nation. It's pretty similar across the nation because if they were doing their job, I mean, I could shoot off a bunch of statistics. 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in her lifetime. 1 out of 5 adolescent girls is abused by her boyfriend. 1 out of 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US, just the ones that we know about. 5 children a day are killed in the United States, murdered at the hands of an abusive parent, usually under the watch of a child protective service agency, under the watch of a judge. So if they were doing their job, those statistics that I just said, and I want to say 1 out of 7 men is abused. So the victim could be male or female, and it's horrible either way. But the fact that 5 children a day are killed in the United States, murdered at the hands of an abusive parent, I could mention a few right now. 2-year-old Kira Franchetti, 3-year-old Bella Bond, 6-year-old Zymir Perkins, 7-year-old Julija Baptiste, 7-year-old Nix Mary Brown, 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery, all murdered. And if you trace back their history, Child Protective Services was involved, the courts were involved. They insist that you don't want to break the family unit. And our theory, our and I don't even it's more than a theory. I think I'm pretty dead on correct. The reason why this is happening, that they insist that you can't break up the family unit, you can't break up the family unit. We argue the family is already broken. It takes only one episode of violence, one episode of abuse to break it, and it always starts with verbal. It's not like somebody's going to punch you all of a sudden. It's always verbal. There's grooming. They hook you. There's always a cycle. And the one episode of violence, the next one will always be worse than the previous one. It always escalates. So I lost my train of thought.
No, that's totally fine. You're exactly following your thread. You are giving us a lot of numbers, and obviously there are a lot of, let's say, question marks. On the one hand, it's totally understandable and makes total sense that we have to create awareness, and not unfortunately only towards children, but I think towards the entire society, to once again to articulate and assert boundaries from the very first verbal abuse onwards, and to say the next time is going to get worse because you're just trying to poke me. And I think it's a very important element to say, listen, maybe even my partner, I love you, but I love my self-respect and my self-worth more than you, unfortunately. And no one is taking care of it if I don't. So unfortunately, I have to say no now, and I cannot accept the way you treat me because I owe it towards my self-respect and towards my self-worth, because this is what I have to treat like a small puppy, imaginary, who no one else takes care of. And I dearly love you. I dearly love you. I really, really appreciate you, but I cannot accept it because it's just my moral standards, is my entire the way of being. If you want to be here in my life, you can be, you're invited, but I need to make sure that you understand that you are following my boundaries. It's fine. It's totally fine. You can leave. We can do it together or not, but please respect me. And there, I think everyone, old and young, needs to be aware of this, and especially, obviously, the young people. I have one question regarding the abuse and this horrible information regarding killing children. What what's I don't even have words, so I don't even know how to ask. What's the reason? Is it like out of rage? Is it because they are so, again, I say generational, they're so traumatized themselves and they found a victim who is weaker and smaller than them, and they have been poking and poking and poking until it's not verbal anymore. A small slap here, and then, a bigger slap, and then suddenly you have a knife in your hand. What it's is it this sequential increase of abuse, or a is it a DNA thing of people who maybe have some pattern in their DNA stream or a string, or is it something which is also mm, environmentally affected or societally affected or influenced?
Excellent question. Yes. There are several reasons. And none of them are excusable. None of them are acceptable. So, um, abusers, they grew up as being abused. So they were never taught this is not acceptable. You deserve to be treated with respect, especially children. And a lot of parents see, and this is what, like, here, the courts, they treat parents like civilians, like family court. They have it here, family court, as, oh, you just, maybe you were just disciplining your child and they smacked them and they just weren't listening. It is so serious. You don't put your hands on your children. Parents are some of the worst. I hate to say it, but it's true, and I'm speaking from personal and professional experience. Parents, abusive parents, are some of the worst people on the planet. They are some of the most dangerous people on the planet, parents. And as I say at Osso Safe, and I say it on my YouTube and TikTok to educate kids so that way they know it's not their fault. I say, your mom and dad abusing you, it's like as if they're your slave owners and you're their slave. And that's the truth. I'm not exaggerating. So, for example, with Nick's Mary Brown, she was 7 years old. They beat her, they chained her to a chair. I believe they raped her. And the excuse was from the stepfather or one of the boyfriends of the mothers because she spilled milk. That is absurd. It's absurd. I think that was in some of the court documents or something, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. Abusive people are not well. They're not well. If you find nothing wrong with putting your kid in a car and making them drive because you're divorced, and you think that your kid driving at 5, 6 years old, 2, 3 hours one way without traffic to come visit you because you're divorced, meanwhile, the kid is screaming, yelling, they have to go to the bathroom. Why do I have to do this? Why is mommy and daddy making me do this? They have headaches and backaches. They want to vomit because they're forced to make the drive, and the courts find nothing wrong with that. You are sick. You are not well. This is abuse. How could you traumatize your child this way? So, we believe at Osso Safe that it is taught, and they have no desire to change. And it's the repetition of it, and they're feeling the abusive parents. They want to feel control. They want to feel like powerful and dominate. And kids, one lawyer told me this, and he put it best. He said, children are the most disenfranchised beings on the planet. Because if you think about it, gay people, pets, women, uh, the groups that are fighting for rights, uh, whether you're African or you're African American, or I'm not saying that things are resolved by any means, but at least there's awareness there that it's wrong. But children, they have no representation. They are so silenced. What is it? What's the phrase? Be They are not to shut your mouth, be seen, not heard. You do as I say. Uh, you are not to disobey me. I mean, this is not a healthy family structure. So, and the
It
fact
is,
that,
it is,
sure.
it is definitely a group of people who I call it like they don't have a lobby. There's no lobby behind them. There's no one basically fighting for them. And what you say is an illustration of the insanity, unfortunately, of the abuser, and a projection of them and their misguided lives. And they are just enforcing their power in a very ugly way towards someone who is very weak. And in the end, it is them who is suffering, who's already hurt. And I think you know the phrase hurt people. And there's no, unfortunately, no lobby saying no for them. And I believe, and I don't know what your opinion there is, I believe the lawmakers or the people who are then the judges, they might individually also have a heart and think and know that it's wrong, but I can imagine that they don't have the tools because it's all intangible abuse. You can't really grasp verbal abuse. You can't grasp and quantify a certain behavior and a certain action regarding, for example, the car drive. Yes, once I'm being punched into my face, it is something visible, but this entire emotional abuse, which is the foundation of later on, where it's already too late, is invisible. And I believe that the entire legal landscape has to somehow take into consideration and quantify and create potentially methodology on saying this is wrong. It is a certain narcissistic way of treating other people in a very manipulative behavior. The abuser knows exactly what they are doing, but they are so covertly expressing it and selling it that in the end, no one really can argue against them because they are very, very good at faking their entire appearance towards the respective audience. I don't know if you agree with me or what you think about my points there.
Yes, I just want to say with abusers, we're not excusing them in any way, in any capacity, because I could tell you, like, there's many resources out there. Like, I see it on Instagram and Facebook, we're on all the social media websites, and there's so many good resources and seminars that you can take. But I could tell you, and my father's been passed away. He passed away in 2017. My father and mother, for that matter, would never even entertain a seminar, a workshop. I'm not going to go to that. Who do you think you are? I'm going to raise my kids the way I want to. You're not going to tell me. They're telling you basically, go to hell. This is, I'm being very tactful. You're not going to tell me. So you would never see them in a class. And as far as I remembered what I wanted to say before. Our theory at Osso Safe with the judges and the legal system is that when they rule so horribly, where they are always in favor of the abusive parent or parents, and they really don't help the child, because look at all the murdered children. If that system was working, that would not be happening. Our theory is that judges are abusers themselves. There's no other explanation, really. And it's not a matter of lack of knowledge, and you're in family court. You should know these things. And our theory is that when they rule in favor of the abuser, and the evidence is staring right in front of them. The child has panic attacks, they have anxiety, they may or may not have marks on them or bruises, there's sexual abuse, there's pornography, BDSM involved, and you are still ruling in favor of the abusive parent. The only explanation is that you, judge, you are an abuser yourself. And it makes sense because they have so much power. And who's going to rule over them? Virtually no one. They have so much power. They're entitled. They're untouchable, practically, these judges. So we can just imagine how their households are, the abuse that they inflict on their own families. And the other point I want to make is that that's why I created Osso Safe, because with our certification for properties, you won't need the judges. You won't need the courts, the judges, child protective service agencies. Everything gets resolved right in residency. Get the abuser out. You're not going to come back. We go in with extra therapists to get the victims de-victimized, whoever the victims are. The children, definitely. Even the pets suffer. The mother, the father, or the stepmother, stepfather, whoever's the non-abuser in the family, we get them de-victimized. We say, look, you cannot have the abuser come back, and you already signed that they're not going to come back, because if you go with him or her again, engage in, oh, well, it was just a one-time thing and I feel sorry for him or her. No, then you got to go. You can't continue to live in an Osso Safe certified property. You have to help us help you. We can't allow this behavior, and your children continue to suffer. And we get extra therapy for the children, and we drill into their consciousness. Look, you deserve to be in a good relationship. You deserve to be in a good relationship. And maybe for right now, that the best relationship you could be in is with nobody. Give yourself a chance to heal. Give yourself a chance for your kids to heal. They could still continue to go to the same school, but the abuser is out. And when that happens, you are free. You start to see light at the end of the tunnel, like, oh my gosh, no one's putting me down. No one is inflicting on my freedom. It's a whole different reality. So what do you need the courts for? You have to be okay with not getting any money from your partner who's abusive. Let that be okay, and we have that in our policy. Let's get you up and running by yourself. We're going to give you the tools and the resources where you could continue to pay the rent or the mortgage, but you don't need him or her. And if both partners are abusive, we go to the child. Who is there? Someone, you stated that you have an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend. We're going to get you to that person. We're going to get, and they want you. Why go through the courts? Just go through the channels of real estate within itself, just within itself. What do you need these courts for? And that's it. And then we check. We do a check-in a couple of weeks, 6 weeks, a couple of months. How is the child doing? Is the child eating well? Are they sleeping well? How is their outlook on life? Do they still talk about suicide? Do they still talk about violence? No. They have now dreams, and they're positive and they're empowered. That's a much better way. So we are providing positive solutions, and solutions that can work and that will work, because you're changing people's mentality all around. And let's stop doing things that don't work. Calling child protective services, going through the courts. For what? For what? You can nip it in the bud. Get your property Osso Safe certified. Resolve it all there. I hope I answered the question and drew a better picture for all of us, for all of us, really.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your success so far. You are now in how many home certified? What is basically right now the situation?
Yes, we are in it. It's still progress is slow because it's a matter of changing people's minds and people's mentality about making respect the required standard, which is what we are enforcing, if you will. We're just in the tri-state area. We just have a few homes that are Osso Safe certified, but it's working out really well. And the word is getting out there. We are gaining momentum, even though it's slow, but it is gaining momentum. I mean, this is not something that is simple. We're making the impossible possible, if you will. So, but the homes that we are also safe certified, and like I said, we are in the tri-state area. It's working out really well. They feel really empowered to live in such a home, and the ones that are already safe. This is just reinforcing, as I mentioned, what they're already doing, and they feel like, wow, when I enter into a relationship with someone, I'm going to know what the warning signs are. And I'm not going to allow myself to be in an abusive relationship because thanks to the Osso Safe certification, I'm educated. I sign the policy. I know what to look out for, and then once I start having a family, um, my family will be better off because I'm going to choose a partner that is also safe, so to speak. So, um, our intention, though, is to become national, which is what we're working on, especially with the incentives that we have that we're working on, and global for sure. Yeah, progress has been slow, but Michael, this needs to be uh, a standard, also safe certification for properties. We can't go on the way we have been. Children are suffering so much with verbal, physical, sexual abuse. And I want to loop it with pornography, BDSM. Unfortunately, the United States is the biggest consumer and producer of pornography. We're not talking about erotica. Erotica is something else. Erotica is about sexual freedom. But pornography, BDSM, which stands for bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism, you don't want you as an adult anywhere near that, let alone a child. And these courts, they're fine with it. BDSM is legal, and we are actually saying it also safe. It needs to become illegal because BDSMers, these are women doing the abusing, the sex abusing. They go on a camera and they have clients and they do convulsing, revolting, disturbing things on and off camera. And these women, primarily they're women. So there's male perpetrators and female perpetrators in pornography, BDSM. So they date and prey on submissive men. And if these men have children, it's a recipe for disaster. That home is full of violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction, and those children become slaves in their own homes. So, and these women that are BDSMers, they pose as upstanding citizens. Meanwhile, they could be, you know, they're they're violent, abusive, chaotic, dysfunctional. They could be part of your PTA at school, but they are controlling, manipulative, dominating people. And the children suffer the most. So I've been making it a point to say this in all podcast speaking engagements because a lot of people don't know. These women fly under the radar thinking that, women can't be perpetrators. I'm here to tell you that they are. All the porn sites here, they're full of women and men that do this sex work, and it's very harmful. The unhealthy sexual relationships. You're just breeding more and more sex abuse and sex trafficking because these women and men that do this, they are grooming the children in their lives, whether they give birth to them or not, to be trafficked. basically. So to loop it around Osso Safe, to loop it back to Osso Safe, we would not allow this. You need to leave. You got to go. You are endangering the children in that household, and we don't allow this. And again, this is good, better for business. This is good for business. This is better for all of the neighbors in the community, neighborhood societies. So I just wanted to loop it back to Osso Safe, and as we say at Osso Safe, safer homes makes for a better home, and Osso Safe home is a better home, and it's better for business.
Tell us about your YouTube channel.
Yes, our YouTube and TikTok is strictly for children to empower them, to uh, to tell them, look, if you are not safe at home, if you're not also safe at home, it's not your fault. You're not alone. We talk about abuse. We talk about respect. We talk about what are the warning signs if you're dating. You don't want to repeat the same mistakes as mom and dad. You deserve to be in a good relationship, kids. We talk about bullying. We talk about how to social media responsibly. There's a lot of talk about no social media, don't give any phones to children. And that we feel that's extreme, because there's parents that are abusive that will use that a way to control their kids, and then the kids have no outlet. Whereas you have to social media responsibly. So let's teach them to be on TikTok, be on YouTube, and Roblox, and all of these social media platforms responsibly. Treat each other with respect, kids. Don't bully one another. You are, and the reason why you bully, it's because you're being abused at home. 9 times out of 10. That's why it's happening. And you think you feel powerful. You think that you feel so strong. And we explain to them on the YouTube and TikTok, we're here to tell you you're insecure, fearful, and weak, and you need to get help. You don't want to repeat the cycle of your abusive parents, because otherwise you're letting them win. You deserve to be in a good relationship, kids. And we give them warning signs. We give them examples. Like, let's say you're in a good relationship. What does that look like? Don't push it away. Don't poison it. Invite that. You deserve that. So that's the YouTube and TikTok. We explain about the book, our children's book. So yeah, it's focusing on kids, strictly on kids, whether they're teeny tiny to 18 years of age.
Perfect. If I'm a property manager right now, and I would like to reach out to you, how would that all work? And the
Yes,
process of getting maybe certified, and so maybe you can, in a nutshell, go for us through the process of the initial steps.
yes. We speak obviously to the landlord, the property owner, property manager, and we map out all of the components of the Osso Safe certification for properties. And this applies to whether they have current or new tenants coming in. So, and we introduce to them, look, you have choice here. You can, if you want to do this in your vacant properties, we'll get your property Osso Safe certified. If you have a building that is both mixed, we will send out whatever they're comfortable with. We work with them, whether it be in letter format, email. We get a video conference call with all of the tenants to say, look, this is going to be very beneficial for all of us. And we hear that there are complaints in the building about violence and abuse. They hear children screaming, maybe things being thrown. We are addressing this. We're being proactive. We're not ignoring this. We feel your pain. We're here for you, and we want to get you help if you are being abused. but we do this in a way we don't single out anyone, so we don't say, okay, who here is a victim? Raise your hand. Who here is an abuser? No one would do that. It's a blanket education, whether you're going through abuse or not. It's about respect. It's about practicing respect, maintaining respect, creating respect on an ongoing basis. We give them resources and we say to them, there's 4 levels of certification. So the first level is what we talked about in the interview, getting the first level of Osso Safe certification. So that basically lays the groundwork. It lays a strong foundation on getting the property Osso Safe certified. And we instill in the landlord, property owner, property manager, we take care of the uncomfortable conversation. And it's basically just a 1 hour seminar. It's not like it's going to take up a lot of their time. It's a 1 hour seminar. And whatever you know your tenants best, property manager, so however you feel most comfortable that your tenants will receive the information, we we're going to work with you. We're not going to say, well, there's only one way. So that way it minimizes any worries, any concerns, any, oh my gosh, I really don't know how to do this. You don't have to. And we get the property manager Osso Safe certified as well, like what to look out for. But I could tell you, when they do this and our logo gets placed outside of the property, a lot of the worry and concerns are diminished because you're laying the groundwork. Respect is now a required standard, and the worry of any violence or abuse is greatly diminished, and it repeats, that first level. We recommend, once we do that, we come back every year to refresh, but that's their choice, every year to refresh everything. And the tenants, like, if they have recommendations, we ask them, do you have recommendations of what you would like to see in the building? And we also recommend having in the lobby, like, if they have uh yeah, in the lobby, like any announcements or any general announcements that they do. Are we practicing respect? Did you did you tell your children that you love them, and that if there's any issues going on at school, just these little drops of
Mhm.
better parenting, better residency, a better way to be in the building. If you're dating, make sure that you are exercising the Osso Safe Code of Living, which we have mapped out in the do's and don'ts, if you will, of better living, safer living, respectful living.
Sabrina, thank you so much for your time today. We learned a lot from all your information and about the importance of creating awareness and also executing all the policies and the entire program. How can people reach out to you if they're interested?
Sure. Our website is ossosafe.com, and there it maps out Osso Safe certification for properties for sure. We're on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. As I mentioned, TikTok and YouTube is dedicated strictly for children, and our children's book is sold on Amazon as well as other book selling platforms, which makes me so happy. I see it there, and it's a great book for laying the groundwork for grandparents, for parents, for family members in general. So yeah, and we greatly appreciate this opportunity. We greatly enjoyed our time together, and it was so valuable, I think, to speak to your audience, your members, especially for the real estate industry.
Absolutely. Sabrina, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.